But guys, speaking of Captain Falcon, let's talk a little bit about the fallout behind Captain Falcon, which was released on Valentine's Day just yesterday. It seems to be doing okay. Its cinema score is the lowest of any Marvel movie ever, but I don't put too much stock in cinema scores because it's just about how good the marketing for the movie was as opposed to the movie itself. But Vulture, which has been doing some really great entertainment-based investigative journalism lately, we've been featuring them on other episodes when it came to male feminist Neil Gaiman and all this other stuff. But they have a very interesting story. By the way, the link to all this stuff is in the description if you guys want to do your own research. But they have an insider who was involved in not only the production of Captain America Brave New World, but also the reshoots, where basically this guy just came out and said, I think everyone knew this was probably not going to be a good film. So basically everyone who worked on this movie just kind of knew that it was going to be bad. But the really interesting part is towards the end of this article here, where they actually like kind of print the email that this guy sent them, and he really calls out Harrison Ford as being a big factor in why like the reshoots cost so much and stuff like that. So first of all, the reshoots happened right as the actors and writers strike happened, and so like that delayed them a lot in terms of like their reshoots. But basically there's a part here where it talks about Harrison Ford. He said, Harrison Ford was one of the crankiest performers I ever dealt with, which is sad because I'm a fan, but he was very much a diva. I don't know if you remember, but he got in a plane crash. He couldn't even raise his left arm above his chest. We have to suit up 80-something Harrison Ford in the motion capture dots. To me, it seemed like he hated it and didn't want to do it. And when Harrison was done, he was done. Everyone was trying to scramble to make him happy. That made for a very awkward work environment. Alex, you are a hardcore Harrison Ford fan. I want to hear your take on this.
Time out. Stop. They put this old fucker into a goddamn motion capture suit when he's not even going to be on camera. It was just literally to catch his movements.
I can't move.
Put somebody else in that fucking thing. What are you doing?
Well, when you're paying $20 million to Harrison Ford, you want to get your money out of him.
Or don't have motion capture. The technology exists now to where you don't need that. It doesn't look that much better.
Yeah, it's called a stunt double. It's called a stunt double.
Yeah. Like, are you telling me that he did the motion capture for the Red Hulk? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Why would you have him do that?
But just don't you have it for Dial of Destiny as well? Because surely they would have done some element at some point for that as well. But
I think they plotted his face so they could do the de-aging. But I think the body movements were done by a double. I think.
Remember that scene in Dial of Destiny where he's running on top of the train and you can tell it's like 80-year-old Harrison Ford. And he can't bend his legs or move his head. And he's all,
bro. I don't. Whoever this production person is, I don't want to hear them complain about how cranky Harrison Ford was because they forced him to be in a fucking skin tight, dotted suit for the movie for a scene that he's not even going to be in. Jesus. That is your own fault.
So what do you make of Harrison Ford being the diva that basically elongated these reshoots and cost a lot of money?
I don't know. What'd you expect? Yeah. He's the crankiest freaking 80-year-old actor who's still working right now. If you go into a movie with Harrison Ford and you're going to put him in a skin tight dot suit and you expect him to be happy about it, you're on a different planet. You're on a different planet, my friend. I don't know what they were expecting, but like it sounds about right to me. Dutch would be cranky if I made him do that shit for the gaming channel.
I mean, he's already cranky.
I need you to put this freaking spandex suit on for me.
Never happened. It's never going to happen.
I'll give you $20 million, Dutch. Get in this suit.
That's what the money's for.
That's right.
All right. Well, I want to throw this to John. So, John, I'm going to read you another part of this guy's report where he says, when the studio had its test in front of an audience, the audience didn't respond. Maybe they don't want to see anything political in an election year. Maybe they were divided on who they were voting for. General Ross reads as an allusion to Trump. He's this very powerful general who becomes kind of a fascist and turns into a raging Red Hulk. This is my opinion, but I think Disney was realizing, hey, we've been bleeding for a while. Let's try not to piss off our core base any more than we have been for over the last couple of years. They know they're going to lose a lot of your audience that way. What do you make of that?
Firstly, I'd say, sorry, what do they mean core audience? Have they actually still got a core audience? I thought that had gone ages ago. I also think with regards to this, the response to it, I mean, word of mouth has been out for so long, wasn't it? That it was just, everything about it just stank. So why was anybody going to get excited about it? And you know that they were definitely going to go down the, you know, this is Trump as president route, weren't they? I mean, that's blatant, and they've just chopped it out. It's just, I'm at a point now with Marvel where you'd actually think, and you guys could probably come in more on this than I can, but they pushed on with doing reshoot and reshoot and reshoot on this, but it was a dog with fleas from the start. So, you know, you're never going to get a good return out of this movie, no matter how much you cut it up and reshoot. It's never going to happen. And to be honest with you, if I was Harrison Ford, I'd probably be cranky because I'm on that set anyway. I don't want to be anywhere near that set, no matter how much money they're paying me. So, yeah, nobody's was interested in this film. Nobody is remotely interested in it now. And I mean, it speaks volumes to how Marvel is lost in front of the general public now. People just aren't interested in it.
Well, you know, Dutch, what's interesting about this is that the timing of it is so weird, because this was greenlit, I believe, in 2021, right? And that was at the start of the Biden administration. Trump had been vanquished. The new DEI was the culture. And basically, so like Marvel decided, hey, let's put a black guy in the Captain America role. Let's add in like a Jewish superhero character. Let's have the president be the bad guy. Let's have basically they made it a political movie. They made it into like a DEI headline.
All these things.
So yeah, all these things. And then because it took them so long to get this movie done, it now comes out when the entire political and cultural landscape has completely changed.
Bro, listen.
And now they're just kind of spinning their wheels. What's your take on this?
All I wanted was a movie with the Falcon going on a bender because he couldn't get a bank loan. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. I honestly don't even know what this movie's about. I don't care about what this movie's about. I'm not going to watch this movie. I have no interest in this movie. And they've lost me. I mean, I used to love the MCU, man. I thought the MCU was great. And they've just gone off the rails. And I don't know if there's anything they can do to pique my interest enough to the point where I have any reason to go back. I have too many other things that I'm interested in now, and watching shitty but expensive superhero movies is not on my list anymore. You know, it's just not. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to go watch this movie. I don't want to, and I would rather go watch more Mad Max movies without Mad Max in them. I think that's kind of what I want to do. You know, that kind of thing. But no, this they've lost me, and I don't even remember what the question was you asked me was, but it's just I'm out of the MCU, man, and it's just like all the other fun things that we used to really enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm done. So
well, the question was really about the bad timing of this, because like Marvel put all their cards along with Disney into like these DEI type of entertainment, and now when they're coming out, the culture has completely left them behind, and people are rejecting these things. In fact, the original storyline for Captain America: Brave New World was going to be about the Eternals cliffhanger, where you had that big celestial coming out of the top of the planet. And the different countries were going to be warring over, like, you know, who gets to control that.
Is that still
celestial there? Yeah, in this movie it is, but like all the other Marvel movies have just ignored it. But then once they got the bad test screening, it became more about who controls vibranium, I think. I don't know. I haven't watched the movie.
Wouldn't that
plan on
thing
watching
being in the
movie.
middle of the ocean like raise the ocean levels up a little bit?
Well, it came from the core of the planet, so it would have displaced like how God knows.
Oh
how
yeah,
many
because all that
things.
water, it would have, the water levels would have gone down. Actually,
Volcanoes
that
would have been set off worldwide,
Yeah.
most likely. Tsunamis
the
would have been
Earth would have
tidal
probably
waves,
split
tsunamis,
into
No
yeah,
fly
okay.
zone. Yeah.
That sounds like an awesome movie where the Avengers have to team up to like save people from these catastrophes.
That would have been a
you
good
know,
comic book movie.
That's a good comic book movie, and that's universally like everybody can watch it because it's apolitical. It's just like it doesn't exist in our world. This is a problem specifically for this made up bullshit planet that they made their movie out of. I would watch that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But they would turn into climate change. They'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, they have to fight climate change.
No, what they do is they have a bunch of people who are like, this is because of climate change, but really it's like all the people who know are like, we can't tell them it's a giant alien in the middle of the planet, right? Like we can't say that. That'll cause panic. Let's let them believe it's climate change while we go fix the problem.
You know, one of the funnest things I've done in the last 6 months is not have to go watch a stupid fucking bunch of movies because we haven't been reviewing them here on this channel, and I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I'm almost ready to where we can start watching a few movies again, but like I don't want to watch any more. Well, we never really watch any MCU movies for the salty nerds.
To explain Dutch's joke about Falcon not getting a bank loan, if you've watched Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus, that was a major plot point where basically this Avenger, who's an Avenger of color, who saved the world, helped save the world, couldn't get a bank loan to help out his family's business. And instead of just being to the bank people, it's like, hey, I'm going to go public and warn people that your bank is denying a Avenger of color who helped save the world. Yeah. instead of like doing that and just getting, and keep in mind, he's also subsidized by Stark Industries.
Why
so
didn't he
like
just borrow the money from Happy?
It's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Falcon, but your credit score is only a 619. So
you have a black person's credit score. I'm sorry.
Well, he'd be getting funding from USAID now, wouldn't he? Quite easily.
Exactly. But the whole thing was about because he was black and poor, he couldn't get a bank loan. So like,
Jesus.
Like just totally out of the realm of reality. But getting back to reality, Odin, I want to talk to you about the financials of this. So like, it was reported that this movie's budget was $180 million, and that they were expecting like 90 something million in previews over the course of like the Valentine's Day weekend and stuff like that. So they're giving very rosy projections about how well this movie is going to do. What's your take on it?
Dude, I thought I had seen some peak shilling from Tony over at Deadline, but this new level just takes the cake. I mean, every article he's written about this movie's box office performance has been so glowing, and it honestly just it makes me sick because of how disingenuous it is. So my favorite narrative being pushed is, oh man, this movie is tracking so that it might actually be able to do better than Captain America Winter Soldier from back in 2014. And immediately my mind went to, oh, you mean that movie that you're not going to adjust for inflation for? Oh, you mean that movie where ticket prices cost a lot less than
Odin,
it does now?
Stop it.
Oh.
This is the second highest opening for a Captain America movie on a Thursday that's not in November
Comparing
or July.
4 days to 3 days. That's the other thing,
or
too.
when it was 80 degrees in Antarctica.
There was a storm in Los Angeles, and that still didn't stop people from seeing this movie. Like that's the stuff Tony's mentioning. Like, actually mentioned a rainstorm in Los Angeles and a snowstorm in Northern California. And it's like, dude, you're trying to make every excuse in the book and then say, oh, but it actually didn't affect it because
how were the box office receipts in Santa Monica?
Oh yeah, let's not talk about the nonsense.
And they're
that
completely ignoring the worldwide, which this thing is a bomb worldwide. It didn't even make $1 million.
Oh no, but they're not ignoring it, Tom. They're saying it's amazing because they're saying this could do Quantum Mania levels globally.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh, you want to go you want to talk about Quantum Mania? Because we can go down that road, Tony, if you really want to bring up Quantum Mania. This film is actually set to make less money domestically than Quantum Mania did. same time back in 2023. And we all know how well that film turned out financially. The biggest issue, too, for me, not only are the lies, again, this has a 4-day number, and they're running with the 4-day number in their headlines and not the 3-day. When the 2014 number they're trying to compare it to is a 3-day total, not a 4-day total. So again, they're being very disingenuous by all this. The fact is, if the film makes $84 million in its domestic opening 3 days, that would make it the lowest grossing Captain America movie in the franchise. If it makes $90 million over 3 days, still the lowest. If it makes $92.5 million, still makes it the lowest, because when you adjust for inflation, guess what? The first Avenger, going all the way back to 2011, $93 million when you adjust for inflation. If you don't like inflation and you think that's not a fair metric, let's go ticket sales. 8.2 million ticket sales estimated opening weekend for the domestic for that film. Guess what? This movie, if it gets 84 million, 6 million tickets. So we're talking about 2 million less people going to see this film just domestically. And then if you do compare it to more recent films like Quantumania, the fact the film is doing worse in certain aspects than Quantumania's box office tells you a lot about this as well. Not to mention, as you just said before, the cinema score, which you all know I think is a complete and utter joke. I hate cinema score so very much with a fiery passion. And even they would say, yeah, well, it's the worst, actually. It's got some of the worst word of mouth according to that. Post-track, which I think is a bit more reliable, is also not very high on this movie either. This movie is going to be a massive flop. And the joke of that 180 million and how so many in the media are running with it as the actual budget. And their excuse is, oh, there's all this fake news out there saying it costs a whole lot more, but this is coming from the studio, guys. And so clearly this is reliable. And it's like, man, if this movie had been shot in the UK, you would not be hearing any of this. But because it was shot in Georgia and DC and areas where they don't have to actually have their tax returns publicly available for people to see how much they actually spent in total amount, they're running with this. And we're never going to actually likely never going to find out the actual amount, which is probably closer to $300 million in budget, because we know we're not idiots.
I've never understood why they don't use ticket sales as the metric for this stuff versus box office. It's crazy to me. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I wish that there was a centralized system that could actually account for it. I mean, we could do a pretty good job of guesstimating, but I think it really comes down to different markets have different prices, and I'm sure there would be a way.
If we went by that, we all know what would be the #1 movie of all time.
Yeah,
Rebel
Gone with the
Moon.
Wind. What was that?
Rebel Moon.
Oh, of
Rebel
course.
Moon.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot about Rebel Moon. Yes.
Never forget.
Gone with the Wind right here.
Billions.
But Rebel Moon. Is,
Billions
way
of
up
ticket
here.
sales. Yeah. Totally.
Way up here.
Tom,
True.
so you famously have made that joke that Captain Falcon was only reshot 3 times. First act, the second act, the third act.
Well, no, they said initially in that first reshoot round, they were only doing 3 major sequences. That was it. I said, yeah, act 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So in this Vulture article, their insider basically says that reshoots are a part of making any movie like this with a big budget, but this isn't Marvel's first rodeo.
22
Entire
days.
sequences we shot won't make it into the film, and that's very expensive. I'm not going to say the director was not equipped to handle that production, and the director is like an indie director who's never done a big budget movie before, but he is black, so there's that. Basically, dealing with A-list egos was the issue. It was mainly just Harrison Ford, so that is a little disappointing. At the end of the day, it was the most tense Marvel shoot I've ever worked on. Everyone kind of felt their buttholes tighten a little. It's like, And basically, he says that everyone who worked on this movie knew that it was going to be a piece of shit and not do well. So what's your take on this, Tom?
Well, I mean, who doesn't know that Harrison Ford is a grumpy old curmudgeon? And I mean, if you're on a set where the director is basically a rookie, and we all know how Marvel makes these movies, he's probably like, these fucking kids got no clue what they're doing. I don't know what I'm doing here.
That's
I
what
don't
the
know
money's
what the hell-
for.
Let's shoot this piece of shit so I can get back to my trailer and smoke some weed. That's all he wants to do, right? Like, so at the end of the day, like, I can see that, especially if they haven't. Look, I don't buy this only 1 round of reshoots thing. We all know that it's been confirmed by multiple sources, including people that are in the movie and people that worked on the movie. And when you have people saying that somebody who was there before me and the other people came in later, that equates to multiple rounds, right? Not just one a year ago, bullshit. You know, and we already know that pretty much the industry had turned their backs on this movie when McDonald's is like, no, we're not waiting to release these toys. We have no incentive to, because they had another movie coming out at this time or whatever, or around the time that they were supposed to move it to, and they're like, no, we're not going to do it. To me, that tells me if they're not going to capitulate to Disney, then that means it's kind of the end of the line there. I mean,
this
Did
chat,
you guys-
this chat is unmatched. I love this. These comments are amazing.
Did you guys hear that in China, for all like the posters and stuff like that, they basically took Anthony Mackie completely out? Like it's just like a silhouette. It's almost like a cutout.
That's
Because they don't want black men featured on the advertising.
Doesn't sell in China. Doesn't do
I
well
think
there.
that's a little,
China.
what that's for is so you can get in there and take your picture with him. But what I found was odd about it was that it was the entire body and not just the head. Right?
Yeah.
Like, because normally it would just be like the head thing you have just so you could come in there and make it look like you're the Hulk trying to punch Captain America or something like that. Oh, no, this is a side profile view of both of them. And you're right, he's completely chopped out. And what's funny is if you look at the face, it's definitely not his face in the cutout.
Can I ask a question to the people that have seen this movie? And this might
Yeah.
be a spoiler, but I really don't care. Okay. I want to know if they explained how Falcon can take a punch from the Red Hulk and not be a super soldier.
Oh, this is easy. Wakanda magic.
Oh,
Dear.
He was
Okay.
given a gift from Wakanda.
So the shield
his
just absorbs all the kinetic
his wings
energy.
now have Wakanda specialized
Is
tech.
that another word for black man magic?
Well, it's by proxy, I guess you could say, because
Wow. Okay.
he didn't actually create it. It's not him himself.
Well,
it's,
you guys know what's funny. I don't think this is a spoiler or anything, but in the movie, like we talked about how countries are kind of warring over the celestial that's like sticking out of the earth.
Mhm.
So the major rival to America for claiming that celestial is Japan, and instead of China, because they don't want to piss off the Chinese, so that they can have a release over there, they made the Asian bad guys Japanese
Yep.
in the movie.
We're fighting
Oh.
literally Japan once again, and even though, as I just said, they use the whole wing thing. It's the whole magic. It's the Wakanda magical materials thing. What's even funnier is that he's landing at speeds that would break a normal man's legs, and his suit doesn't go down that far. It's just like a regular suit at that point.
Lands on his ankles
Wow.
that should be shattered
Yeah.
upon impact. Yeah.
You know what?
I mean,
the next Captain America movie needs. Sorry, Kadish. The next Captain America movie needs to be freaking. The president calls the cartels a terrorist organization, and Captain America and the crew have to go down to South America, freaking destroy all the Colombian
South
white
America?
gold.
Sicario, man, bring in
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve to
He's
direct
gotta
that
go to-
one,
he's
man.
gotta go to
Bro.
El Paso.
Yeah, yeah. Should be fighting Walter White and shit.
Well,
And
the
as
funny thing is,
punishment, they've got to mine the big guy that's sticking out of the planet in the next sequel to the movie.
yeah, and what's funny is that in Captain America and Winter Soldier, the TV show, they had the perfect setup for Anthony Mackie to take the super soldier serum. Like he could have taken it in that show and become a super soldier, right? But they chose not to do that. And so now everyone's like, what makes him special?
Do you wanna know why?
He's basically Iron Man.
Do you want to know why? It's because they wrote a line for this specific moment, for this time, for 2025, okay? Because why did he take the serum? Well, because Captain America, Steve Rogers, he was someone that you could look up to. But you, Falcon, you are someone that they can aspire to. Yep. Captain America, Steve Rogers, because he was a super serum guy, you can look up to him. But because, hey, he's just a normal guy, Falcon, you can aspire to be him. So that was what they wanted. They wanted that line in there. If you can aspire to him versus looking up towards the super soldier.
I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yep. Brilliant writing.
Right.
That one stuck with me.